It's October. That might mean a lot of different things to different people, but for cinephiles and genre fans alike, it's a month for horror. Throughout the month, we'll be sharing some horror recommendations to help you program your own October film festival. Soon, we'll be open and able to program some great revival screenings at the United, and when we do, genre and cult film programming will have its very own series distinction, United in the Dark. Until then, these video picks will hopefully guide you towards some of the scary, weird, and unique films of October. John Carpenter's The Thing. It's the perfect film to kick off a 2020 horror marathon. In 1979, Universal Pictures approached Carpenter, fresh off the success of Halloween, to direct an adaptation of John Campbell's 1938 novella, Who Goes There? That work was previously adapted in 1951 by producer Howard Hawks into the film The Thing from Another World. Fun fact, Carpenter, a fan of the Hawks adaptation, had that film playing on a television screen in the background of Halloween. Flash forward to 1982. John Carpenter's The Thing is released, but not well received at the time. Flash forward again to today, and the film has become a cult classic, ranking among the best horror films ever made. I chose The Thing to kick this series off because, at its core, it's a film centered on paranoia and isolation. A nameless creature, The Thing, is infecting and then overtaking members of a secluded scientific expedition in the Arctic. But the conflict in the film doesn't originate much from the creature itself. The tension, most of which comes in the form of unchecked paranoia, results from the unknown nature of the infection and the question of who is infected. The almost manic mistrust unravels the characters and becomes the central element of horror in the film. Carpenter's The Thing has some of the most terrifying and masterfully executed practical effects of any horror film ever. Special effects designer Rob Bottin was provided with what, at the time, was the largest creature effects budget Universal had ever granted. Universal, the home of Frankenstein, Dracula, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and the Wolfman, the studio synonymous with creature films. That risk paid off visually, but unfortunately it took a number of years after the film's release for people to appreciate it. But even with the impressive effects, the horror of paranoia and isolation served as the true antagonist of The Thing. Like the Howard Hawks film, Carpenter's was an allegory for the Red Scare and McCarthyism, the condemning suspicions of neighbors. The Thing is a film about the consequences of reacting under pressure and the selfish instincts that kick in under such pressure. It's an interesting film to revisit in 2020. As a horror film with a sci-fi bend, watch this movie with Ridley Scott's Alien for a terrifying double feature. Next up, zombies. There are so many great zombie films out there, from Romero's Dawn of the Dead to Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead. I'd argue, though, that the greatest zombie movie of the past decade is 2016's Train to Busan. Director Yong Sang-ho's action horror film is yet another example of the incredible filmmaking to come out of the present South Korean film renaissance, from which Bong Joon-ho's film Parasite won the Best Picture Oscar earlier this year. Set on a speeding train amidst the initial outbreak of a zombie epidemic, Train to Busan manages to weave the relentless speed and suspense of an action film and the horror you'd expect from a zombie film, with the jocular anti-heroes that have become a trademark of South Korean cinema. It's that rare example of horror film that trades gimmicks for character. Okay, I know I started out heavy with paranoia and isolation with The Thing, but I'll end this video with the most hilarious of horror franchises. If you have yet to see Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi's 2014 film What We Do in the Shadows, seek it out immediately. While the premise, vampires living amongst humans in the present day, might seem tired, the mockumentary style and Waititi and Clement's comedic brilliance propel it to Christopher Guest-level satire. Also check out the television spin-off of What We Do in the Shadows on FX. Like the film, it's an endlessly silly departure from the dark and seriousness of a genre for which dark and serious is a mood.
Master, this is pretty macabre.
You can find all of these movies anywhere that you rent or purchase films. Until next week, happy October.